I can't wait to talk to you.
Jacquelyn, we are back.
Good morning. We are back.
We're ready for round two of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And round two's already kicked off. So we've got a couple of games under our belt already. And we'll get into our predictions for round two. Why don't you recap how we did for round one?
Well, that might explain why you're wearing black, Mike.
I'm wearing
How we
black
did in
because
round one.
I'm wearing black because the Islanders did not advance to the next.
They
Well,
failed to
actually,
advance.
the reason I'm wearing black is because I always wear black, but it also is fitting because the Islanders did not advance to this round, and goaltending did not. Poor goaltending on the Islanders side and amazing goaltending on the Canes side. And we actually have something in common now. Both of our teams have given up a 3-goal lead in
Yeah.
the playoffs. So
It's so bad. It's so bad. I will say this, the goaltending was a disappointment to be certain for your team, and leads that get blown are just the source of frustration for me. Currently, my baseball team, the Cubs, are experiencing a lot of that. Great starts from their pitchers, and then the bullpen just loses the games. It's very frustrating. So I got you. So let's go ahead and recap. So and actually, for those of you who are listening, if you're interested and get this in time, there's a few hours left still to the NHL bracket challenge has allowed you to do a second chance pick, which is great. So how we ended up in round one. So my picks in round one were 88% correct. So that was kind of exciting for me. The only place I fell short, so I had predicted that Dallas would win. You had predicted Vegas. Dallas, of course, advanced. We both, I believe, no, you picked the Winnipeg Jets. I picked Colorado Avalanche. The Avs moved on. We both picked the Predators, and sadly, they fell to the Canucks, who I cannot stand. I went with a gut pick there of disliking Vancouver, and I should never do emotional picks, but I did. And then I think we had both picked. No, you had picked the Kings in 7 and
and my
Edmonton.
bold prediction on that one was
Just,
that the Kings might sweep the Oilers.
I think it was the other way around. Did the Kings even win a game? Did they win a game?
Uh,
I can't remember.
oh,
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the Oilers have advanced. So that takes care of the West. So let's look at the East. So unfortunately, your team did not advance. So that was I'm sure. Oh no, sorry. Let me finish up the East. What is wrong here? What is wrong with my bracket? I'm not showing. This is really weird. My brackets are showing up weird. Okay, now I've refreshed it. I got it. Okay, so sorry. Let's move to the East. Forgive me. So Carolina and New York, we know what happened there. I had picked Carolina. You had picked the Islanders because they're your team. We both, I think, nope. Yep. We both correctly predicted the Rangers would move forward, and they did. They swept the Capitals. So the Capitals didn't even win a game. And then as far as Boston and Toronto, your bold prediction was the Leafs in 4. It went 7 games, and Boston pulled that out. I did pick Boston. We both picked the Panthers, and we both were right there over Tampa Bay. I think that's a pretty good recap.
good
What
recap.
was your
So
percentage?
Jacquelyn kicked my butt in the first round, and you kicked my butt in the first round. So here we go on to round two.
On to round 2. All right, I will let you go first. You want to start with the East or the West?
Let's start with because I sent the pick over to you early. I didn't send you picks for the games for the last two the other
Right.
series yet, but
But we did
the
send our pick for Rangers Carolina early. Both
Rangers
of us did.
Carolina, we sent that early because there was an overlap between round one and round two, and we knew we weren't going to record this until Wednesday morning, and we're recording this on Wednesday, the 8th of May. So we're a little bit, the series have already started. And what I said was Rangers are going to beat the Canes, and they will beat the Canes in 5 games. And right now, I actually think that's going to be a sweep, given the way
Might be
that
a sweep.
given the way the Rangers are playing. But
Yeah. I'm going to
going in, I
give
said five
Carolina a
games.
chance to win a game, though. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, so going in, I said 5 games. So Rangers in 5 for me.
Got it. Well, I definitely am picking the Rangers, and I do believe it'll be 5 games. I was anticipating it might have been 6, I said to you, because when I texted you, I said, I think it's going to be 5, but maybe I should go with 6. I'm going to stick with my original gut on the Rangers in 5. All right. So Bruins Panthers. What are you thinking there?
I'll let you go first. You get to pick all the rest of this series, and I'm going to go against you probably in each one. Actually, I don't know that I'll go against you in each one. So
We
Bruins,
did have a couple
Panthers,
the same round one.
Bruins, Panthers. Why don't you go first, and then I'll share my perspective on it.
Yeah, so I believe this series is going to go 6 games because
Okay.
I think both the teams are excellent. I do think Boston's going to pull it out. And so I'm going with Boston in 6 games.
Okay. I'm going to go Panthers, and I don't know that it's going to be Panthers in a short series. Like I don't see this being a Panthers in five. They played one game so far. Boston won the first game, and Boston outplayed Florida in the first
Oh, yeah.
game. I think Boston's coming off the high of their
Game
series, just
seven.
kind of going
Yeah.
from one series right into the other. They've got that momentum. Florida had a couple of days off. I think Florida kind of gets things organized and gets things right and wins the series. I don't think it's going to be a short series. So I see this one going 7 games, but I see Florida ending up figuring out a way to win. Both that game the other night highlights the importance of goaltending. Like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
goaltending is what does it this time of year. Goaltending is very important. That's kind of like Captain Obvious statement, but I'm going to go Panthers and
In 7.
do Panthers in 7.
Okay. Awesome. So that takes care of the East. And I've got Bruins in 6. And it's funny, that Rangers game last night went to double overtime. That was
Yep.
crazy. All righty. So Dallas, Colorado. So I'm
So
going
what
to stick
happened to
with
your team
this.
last night?
Yeah, I know. So for those of you who were watching, it was pretty painful. Dallas is up 3 games to none. And in the second period, Colorado came out and scored 2 pretty quick goals. And then it was just like a crap show after that. And then Colorado tied it up and then they won it. So it was just a painful and overtime. This is just painful all around. So I don't know what happened to them, but it was, actually where I saw the problems were like Colorado had way too many breakaway chances. So I think Dallas was really failing on the forecheck. And I mean, they just so many got bad timing for line changes. It was a mess.
The losing a 3 goal lead in the playoffs is brutal.
That's a disaster.
The Islanders are now 81-1 when having a 3 goal lead in uh
What?
81-1 when having a 3 goal lead. And I think that's 81-1 in playoff games with having a 3 goal
81
lead.
lost and won one?
81 wins and one
Oh, sorry.
loss. They had never
Okay.
lost a game where they were up by 3 goals until they lost game 2 to the Canes.
Oh,
I think it
sorry. I
just completely
misunderstood that.
ruined that series for them. Even though there were a couple of times where it looked like they were kind of turning things back over. Like even when they tied up, and I know I'm going back to round one, but when they
Mhm.
tied up a game, it was in game 6. They tied it up and got it to 3-3. I was optimistic that they would figure things out and then give up a couple of soft goals. And it's playoff hockey and goaltending is very, very important. So on this one, I don't know. The I didn't expect the Avalanche to make it into this round, and I also didn't expect the Stars to make it into this round.
Even though they were the number 2 team in the league to finish the season.
Yeah, I thought Vegas. I mean, Vegas did some stuff that Tampa's done in the past, where you put somebody on ice for the last couple of months of the season, and then magically they're able to come back and play in game 1 of the playoffs, and you don't take the cap hit.
Mm,
So I thought Vegas was coming in as a strong team, and
mm,
I had expected that they were going to be able to beat Dallas, and it looked
mm.
good. Didn't they go up
It
to,
took them
wasn't it 2 games?
7 games. It was
Yeah,
seven
so
games.
but well they were up 2-0 on
Oh, yeah.
Dallas, right? They won both
Yeah, because
games.
Dallas lost both home games,
Yeah.
first two, and then
So
lost last night at home.
I really I don't know. I mean, this is one of those where it's a coin flip. Who'd you say that you're going to go with?
Uh, I'm going with Dallas in 7. I think it's going to take them all 7 games. It's going to be brutal. I mean, they went 7 games in round one. And if it takes them 7 games in round two, they're going to be exhausted if they get out of that.
Yeah, so I'll go Avs in 7. Again, picking against, I think the only one we're aligned up on right now is the Rangers Canes series.
And we
And we
both
know how
hate the
much better
Rangers.
you picked the first round. So if anybody's actually betting on this stuff, go with Jacquelyn. If you are, if you're not, then you can go with me.
I love it. All right. All right. So you got the Avs in seven. Constantine, if you're listening, is happy about that.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, the two Canadian teams that are remaining.
Yeah.
Amazing, considering the great hockey that goes on in Canada. It's a shame sometimes when you get to these rounds and teams aren't surviving. So we only lost the Leafs and the Jets, but now we've got Vancouver and Edmonton still in and playing each other. I'm going with Edmonton and with the Oilers in six. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Oilers as well. I think Edmonton's just too
Hmm.
strong of a team. And
Well, they have McJesus.
Vancouver's all over the place. Like Vancouver's kind of hot and cold, and they've been all over the place so far, even in the playoffs. So I'm gonna go Edmonton. I You said Edmonton in six.
Hmm.
So I guess the question for me is Edmonton, do I go Edmonton in five or do I go Edmonton in seven for the tiebreaker
You
on
can
this
pick
one?
six. You can have the same pick as me.
No, but then there's no tiebreaker because the
Well,
games
yeah,
number of games is the tiebreaker, right? So we're not going to
right.
go total goals. I'm going to go Edmonton in five.
Like that. Well, it's certainly going to be fun. What we saw, gosh, last night, just real quick, obviously, we already talked about the Rangers winning in double overtime,
Yeah,
Dallas blowing a three-game lead. And then anything else happening in the league that we should talk about? On Monday night, Bruins slaughtered the Panthers 5-1. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens next. And like I said, the Rangers are looking like a freight train,
yeah.
and we don't like the Rangers, either of us, to our favorite audience members.
They look so good. Like they're
Yeah,
physical, they're fast, they've got strong goaltending. Like
yeah.
they're built for success here, and I want to see them fail. Just because I don't like the Rangers, but
Some
but
Schadenfreude.
I don't know who can beat them. Like right now, I don't know who
Who's physical enough on the West, big
the
enough.
the Oilers from a speed standpoint, but
Mhm.
I don't know who beats the Rangers right now.
Yeah,
So I'm going to go ahead and say the Rangers are going to win the Stanley Cup,
yeah.
and I'll say that out loud now with the hopes that I am as bad with that pick as I have been with the rest of the picks. And I put the jinx on all the Rangers fans who, when I was a kid, we would have affectionately cheered 1940, which up until 1994, that was the last time they had won a cup. And now I'm sure all of them are cheering like 1983 if they can think back that long, which is the last time the Isles won a cup. So what else? What's been surprising so far in the playoffs for you? Any surprises?
I was surprised, at least initially. So this changed after we were getting towards the end of round one, but for it took many games before we had anything in overtime. There were no overtime games up until I want to say one of the last few days of round one. I didn't look up exactly what day it was, but I remember kind of looking through the games I didn't watch and saying, gosh, like we're usually seeing more overtime, but there was not a lot of overtime in round one, which that surprised me. It surprised me that the Dallas Vegas series went on as long as it did, but I wasn't as bullish on what Vegas had done to, bulk up their team at the end of the season. So I wasn't really convinced that that would work, but it got them where it did. I was really surprised that Dallas lost so many games at home. And I expected the Rangers to win round one. I didn't expect them to sweep. And I honestly thought I was surprised by the Vancouver win. What about you?
Yeah. I, Surprised by Vancouver. I was surprised the Jets didn't make it out of the first round. Like I thought the Jets had getting solid goaltending. I was surprised they didn't make it out of the first round. The I think the one of the cool things about this time of year is there's always a good game going on in the background. No matter if
Mm-hmm.
it's out here on the West Coast, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 4:30 in the afternoon. You can get a game. You have a game going, and you have games going until pushing 10:30 at night for some of the West
Right.
Coast stuff, which is awesome to be able to have it just going on in the background. As far
Yeah,
as
for hockey fans, the playoffs round one and two are great because there's always a game on every night. And then when you
always,
get towards the conference finals and of course the final, it's like, Oh man, there's not like 3 games today?
It's and then you get those gaps, right? And you end up
Yeah.
finding you end up having a day where you're like, oh, there's nothing that what are you going to do? I am disappointed by the Islanders, but also not surprised. I think they've got to I think they have a lot of work to do to build out a team that can not only score goals but can stop them. And I don't know what's going on with Sorokin. I thought
You get injured?
I don't know. Sean was saying that he thinks that they're going to announce some kind of injury, but I haven't heard anything. I don't know if they've announced anything, and I'm just looking up at the Islanders news right now to see if there was anything that was officially announced with him. But Sean, who's one of my kids, was saying that he thought that they might announce that Sorokin had an injury. I think
Looks like TJ Oshie at Capitals had a broken wrist. He played with a broken wrist. And that was
it,
like crazy. I love
yeah,
that guy.
it
I love
is.
TJ.
Well, and so how about did you see the penalty shot that who was it with the Canes who had it? So I know this sounds like a very professional and official hockey podcast among some friends who are who enjoy the game and enjoy texting back and forth with each other while the games are going on. But how about the penalty shot that the Canes forward had where it took him 12 seconds to pick up the puck and take the shot on Varlamov. 12 seconds. That's how slow this guy literally crawled his way from center ice to
I
uh
didn't see that. I will now make it a point to watch
you have to
that.
go you have to
I
go watch
didn't.
it because it's there were a lot of interesting conversations around, hey, do you put a shot clock on players? Like you can't
They
get
might
from
now.
if you can't get from the faceoff circle to the goal inside, in under 9 seconds, then the opposing team gets to clear their bench and beat the crap out of you or something. Like I don't know what, but it was insane. It was just so like mind numbing painful. But then you go back and you think about and this is what made me think about it is Yoshi's only shots
The Olympics.
in the Olympics, right? Like he would go from really, really slow from side to side, just kind of lull the goaltender to sleep and then make
And then wham.
amazing shots. Yeah, amazing shots. So anyhow,
I'll have to watch that.
surprises.
I didn't see that. Like, look, there's the pitch clock in the MLB these days. Everybody's enjoying it. Makes the games much more crisp and get bored out of your mind watching pitchers do stupid stuff on the mound. But 12 seconds is excessive.
Oh, it's insane. It's disgust. It's
I mean,
disgusting.
you're on ice. You move fast on the ice.
Well, if you're
I
paying
love it.
attention to the playoffs, jump in the comments, leave some comments around who your team is, who you think is going to win the cup this year. If you have hate for Ranger fans, drop those in the comments too. It's good to see those. And just to clarify, we're talking about the Rangers from New York City,
Yes,
not the Rangers from the great state of Texas.
we love the Texas Rangers, World Series champs.
Well, somebody on this call loves the Texas Rangers.
I do. Texas.
I'm opposed to all kinds of Rangers. Jacqueline, what else is
Except for
what
park
else what
rangers.
else what else is going on with you? Anything else you want to share with anybody? Anything exciting going on in your world?
No, some really exciting stuff happening here. I'm actually down in Austin at the Forrester B2B conference, the B2B marketing conference. It's been a great time catching up with customers, representing my company and just catching up with old friends. It's been a wonderful 3 days and really excited. One of our customers is doing a wonderful presentation today that I'll get to go and watch their keynote. And it's exciting to be here. It's great to be back with Mike. Mike always has the greatest questions ever asked.
What do
Much
you what
appreciated.
what are some things that you like about or what are some of the things that you like about going to conferences?
What I love about conferences, it's people who go to conferences, generally speaking, are there to learn about solutions that can help them. They're there to learn from their peers.
Yep.
They're there to hopefully meet new people who might have potential ability to help them in their journey. And so it's not as difficult or as out of context as some prospecting can be because people are here to learn. People are here to meet people. I do like that very much. I particularly appreciate the peer to peer learning
Mm.
of conferences. And so for me, they've been an integral part of my career, especially when I was in life sciences. It was really where it was a catalyst, pun intended,
Yeah.
to how we grew our business. So I'm just a big fan, and it's always great to catch up with people within your customers. And, it's just a fun, non-threatening setting to just mingle at the booth or at the, over coffee or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, conferences create this amazing magnet that should be pulling together people who have a common interest around an industry or a space or a specific product or a specific market, whatever that interest is. But if you're going to invest time and energy, time and resources away from family, getting out of your day-to-day type business so that you're in an environment where you're around a bunch of people are who are also making that investment. Ideally, you're going to be around people who are there for with some kind of purpose, which is cool. It's that magnet.
Right.
What do you think are some of the mistakes that people make when it comes to conferences?
Well, I think, and I've been both a participant, an attendee and a sponsor
Yep,
or a vendor that's at the conference.
sure.
The mistakes that I see vendors making
Yep,
are being too aggressive trying to pitch people or get them to the booth. That's not behavior that most people enjoy. And so I don't do that. I don't like it when it's done, and I don't like it when I see others do it to people, and I didn't like it being done to me.
yeah.
The mistake I see attendees making is not giving the sponsors some time.
Mm,
These people have paid money to be there to sponsor the event and have, valid solutions to offer to the attendees and their companies. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sponsors. And so, there are attendees who just want the free stuff from a booth and won't talk to people. And I just think that's, first of all, that's not nice human behavior.
right.
But, be curious. And this is what I would always do. I would tell people like, look, I'm not necessarily a budget holder or decision maker when I wasn't. And if I was, I have been one, but I'd say like, look, I'm not necessarily a person that makes a decision here, but I am curious about what you do. Can you tell me? And if I like what I see, I'll connect you with the people who do make the decisions. So I just think sometimes people will dismiss the value of the sponsors that are there.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you got a nice pair of socks, but maybe you could have a good business conversation.
Yeah, one of the things to think about there, and I think it's a really powerful thing to say out loud and remind people about, which is take advantage of the fact that there are companies there that are solving for, or at least aspire to solve for, problems that you typically have or likely have
Yeah.
if you're the type of person who's attending that kind of an event. And remember that the sponsors are investing heavily in those events. They're spending a lot of money, not only for booth space, but also the way that these events work. They're spending obscene amounts of money just to get the booth set up or at Wi-Fi at the location. Like there's so many different ways that they get nickeled and dimed above and beyond
Yeah.
what it costs to put a booth in the place. Then the other expense that they're taking on is the expense of bringing a team together and
Hmm.
having them, food, water, and shelter of that team. So there's all of this
Yeah.
investment that's being made. That investment helps reduce the amount that you need to invest as an attendee. If
Right.
sponsors weren't there, the fees that you would pay as an attendee would be significantly higher. Whether those fees are coming out of your pocketbook or your wallet or whatever, or they're coming
Hmm.
out of the business that you're a part of, someone has to pay to have that event go and have that event work and have that event move. So go out.
Sponsors make it more affordable for the attendees.
They do, and they basically they subsidize your tickets, they subsidize your access, and so go out and have conversations, ask questions. Yeah, take a couple of pairs of socks as you go through the process, but take advantage of the people who are there who, for the most part, I think many of the vendors that go to these shows are deeply committed to solving problems that exist inside that market. Sometimes they're testing new markets. Go have
Mhm.
conversations with them, and go take some time and walk around the booth. Nobody will bite you. I've never been bitten at a show before, at least not that I remember. So
You haven't lived.
there you go. Take it. So thanks for talking through that. Events
Yeah,
are very important to me. They're
me
a
too.
great place where you congregate, like you just discussed. You get to share information. You get to learn information. You get to see people that you haven't seen. in a while. In fact, I saw Alex Smith at an event that I was at down in Orlando a couple of weeks ago, where I was speaking at a learning and
I got to
development
see
event.
Scott Ingram last night at the Four Seasons. That was fun. Had a drink there.
See, and this is a great way for us to continue to connect and network and build. So, Jacquelyn, thanks for
Yeah. Oh,
chatting
wait.
through
Shout out
round
to Abel
two.
Lomas. I had dinner with Abel Lomas on Monday night. And shout
Awesome.
out to my good friend Clay Abear, who many of you may not know, but I had coffee with him yesterday doing an amazing brainstorming session on a couple of my clients. So it was always good to be here in Austin. Always good to talk to you, Mike. We will be back to talk about the conference finals in a few days.
Yeah, hopefully the series go long. I'd like to see these series go long since now I don't have
Maybe
a
in a
dog in the
week,
hunt.
week or
I'd
so.
like to see these series go. I'd like to see all of them go 7 games.
That would be
that would be
hockey
fun.
heaven.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Awesome. If you know somebody who would enjoy this podcast or this discussion, share it with them. Jacquelyn and I like to see those shares. Jacquelyn, where's the best place for people to connect up with you?
Look for me on LinkedIn, Jacquelyn Nicholson, like Jack Nicholson, but with a Queulyn. And there's a little globe next to my first name. Then you found me with the snarky black and white picture.
Perfect. Sales is a thinking process. Business is a thinking process. Life is a thinking process. How are you thinking differently about your process?